is actually not precise. I can see the battery life, I can also see the date and the day, and this is the calendar. Depending on how you set the settings, you may or may not be able to see some notifications here, but the notifications will not remain here. So when you have an alert coming in, the alert may appear here and then disappear. So when that happens, you can actually pick up the phone like this, and the lift to wake will work, and you can see your notification, and you can unlock and go inside. So remember earlier I said you should quit the always on settings page, because if you don't do so and you unlock from here, it will go back to the always on settings page, which is weird. Always on display will drain about 1% of battery every 2 to 2.5 hours. Based on my past week of usage, I would say always on display will drain around 3 to 4% overnight, which is okay for me. Now, if you have the display like this without the auto sleep on, like if you have this permanently on like this, wow, the battery life can drain very quickly. So even though the page is not refreshing or redrawing and you're not scrolling, the page looks static, this is going to drain 3% per hour. So make sure you set your auto sleep time to something of your preference. So when the phone is sleeping and goes to always on display, the battery is not going to drain that quickly. Let's talk about this navigation bar here. So when you tap on it, you can see nice shortcuts, and if you tap here, you can customize the shortcuts, or you can go into the settings page and locate this page to customize the shortcuts. And if you do not want to use the navigation bar, which is actually very useful, you can disable it here. There is Google Play Store pre-installed, so this will let you install whatever apps you can find. You can install banking apps and Google Wallet, GPay, and you can use NFC for payment. Now, for banking apps, you cannot use the face unlock because it does not have enough security clearance, but you can use fingerprint unlock. You can see Nova Launcher here, which is a custom launcher, so you can actually install your own custom launcher and use that as the main launcher instead of the BigMe launcher, which as you can see is quite basic. As for bloatware, I guess that would depend on what you consider to be bloatware. For example, is Microsoft OneNote considered bloatware because this is pre-installed? So these are all the pre-installed apps on the home screen, and there are some AI apps as well, which I don't really use. And now let's talk about performance. So this phone is using the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 processor, which is an 8-core processor. There is 8 gigs of RAM, and for this phone there is 256 gigs of internal storage. And remember earlier I said there is no SD card slot. Now the overall performance is more responsive compared to the BigMe Hybrid. So when I scroll through the home page, it's very responsive. If I launch apps, it's very quick. Let me just launch an app that I have not launched. So this is Google Chrome, and this is how fast web pages can load, and that was how fast the app can open. Let me open another app here. Yeah, the apps open almost instantly. Let's open BB. So this opened pretty quickly as well. Took a split second to open, but still opened pretty quickly. And now all these apps are in the RAM. You cannot scroll through the apps like this. You have to press the left-right button, unfortunately. All these apps are stored in memory, and when you open the app again, the apps usually do not reload, so that is great. The keyboard typing experience is pretty good. I'm able to type at my normal speed, You see, without the search bar, now I actually want to find out where I can customize the keyboard so that I can enable haptic for the typing, and without a search bar it's very inconvenient. There is this more settings page, and here you get more Android settings, but it seems like I will have to spend some time to search for the keyboard settings. Alright, finally found it. It was under more settings, system, keyboard, and to go through several menus to find this, vibrate on key press, and it works fine. Let's talk about battery life, which is actually pretty good. The battery capacity is 4,500 mAh, and that can last me at least 1 day for 2 days of use. And because I don't use social media that much on this phone, and I don't watch videos, because when it comes to viewing visual images on this phone, it's black and white, so it makes me want to use the phone less, except for checking Gmail, emails, and for work purposes. So I don't use this phone as much compared to when I am using phones with color displays where I would use social media, watch videos. So the battery life for this can last me 2-3 days based on my usage of the phone. Of course, the battery life will vary depending on what you use. If you have the home screen on all the time and you are not using the phone, the battery life drains about 3% per hour. So if you are doing work, if you are checking email, web browsing, then it may drain more percent per hour. So what I can say is the battery life is good. I cannot give you a precise number to the battery life because everyone's usage of a phone is different. And of course, if you have the front light and warm light enabled, that will also affect battery life noticeably. Alright, to conclude. So with the addition of so many new features compared to the previous model, this Big Mi Hybrid Pro now feels like a more fully functional Android phone. And of course, this is not going to be as good compared to Android phones with color displays, but this is made for a very specific target audience, for people who prefer to have something, a device with an e-ink display. This phone looks good to me and it works quite well, except for some of the software features that are not enabled yet, but otherwise I didn't really experience major software issues. Call quality is decent and the audio quality from the speakers is way better than I expected, which is a pleasant surprise because usually speakers is the first thing that gets sacrificed. Yeah, performance is noticeably more responsive compared to the previous model. So as to whether this is worth your money, well, you guys can decide. And if you have the intention to buy this phone, you can check out the purchase links that I have for you in the video description below. And if you have other questions regarding this phone, let me know in the comments section.
Let's dance. Shadows.
Save your excuses.
Where to, book?
Begins.
Shadows.